sorry when you're going to war. We've got a long way to go, right? But it's just day one. We'll get there.
All right, y'all. Welcome back and happy Thursday to you. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be breaking down Tennessee's 2027 class now that our number one player is off the board. Of course, I'm talking about David Gabriel-Georges, and he had a much bigger impact on the class rankings than I thought he would. I'll show it to you in just a minute. But what's next? What's left? What are the positions of need? What are some names for us to be looking out for as Tennessee fans, whether it's a flip candidate like DJ Jacobs, who I've got some insight on as far as how realistic it is that we flip him. I will be sharing that with y'all over the course of this video. Or whether it's a guy like Asa Barnes, who we've been looking at since this video started, who is a 3-star in-state running back. I've watched full games of his, and I am very impressed with him as a football player. Comes from a really good system and program, well coached, so on and so forth. But he's set to announce on the 29th, super heavy Tennessee lean. And I think that the 1-2 punch moving forward, potentially, of him and David Gabriel-Georges could be something special because they're going to end up being right around the same size, 6 feet, 220 plus. Very similar running styles as far as the patience to be able to set things up off of their blocks. And then once you get to the second and third levels, this is where I think Asa Barnes actually separates himself just as a football player. Now, obviously, if you're just talking about talent, DGG is on a different level than almost everybody. I think that obviously he would start. He's not in jeopardy. I'm not saying that Asa is going to come in and start over DGG. Please don't take it that way. But from a understanding of football, from a being ready to come in to like a college system and ready to play, kind of like being an every down back, I think that Asa is closer to that just based off of their junior films. But like I said, understanding angles is going to be critical. That's how you know that someone really gets football, when you can start to attack the different angles on the field. So Asa showed a whole lot of that. But also he runs routes, like real routes. They'll split him out wide, and he does a good job running the routes. And he is a natural pass catcher. Like, he catches with his hands, and it's all fluid. Plus, I think with pass protection, he's on a different level. It looks like he understands it a lot better than David Gabriel-Georges showed. And they're both going to have to get better. There's things for everyone to learn. But people have talked about DGG only getting I think it was less than 30% of the overall snaps at Baylor last year. You have to ask yourself why that is. It's not because he was injured. Not that I know, because I couldn't find any injuries. Could be wrong on that. But it's probably because they wanted to keep him fresh and minimize all the hits that he's taken. Understanding a little bit about how this thing is transpired with his team and everybody, and how they're going about this process, I would be shocked if there isn't some type of pitch count, a snap count, that he's going to be on once he comes to Tennessee. Will it be way over 30%? I don't know. I'm thinking it probably won't be too much over it if it's over it, period, but maybe up to like 40%. So can he be in every down back all the time? Of course he can. But will he be? Is that something that they want to have happen? I don't know. And that's something that we do have to think about. So the overall point is just that Asa, moving forward for like the next few years, if he does pick Tennessee, he might end up with more carries than David Gabriel-Georges gets, in with two big backs in the critical moments, in the do-or-die situations, playoff football. We can lean on him behind a big offensive line that's talented, behind really good quarterback, great skill positions on the outside. So I'm starting to see the vision a little bit clearer with what we're trying to do. And we will also talk about the transfer portal for the 2027 class as well. So with all that being said, if you find yourselves enjoying or learning from any part of the content, do us a favor and like and subscribe. And today we're actually going to start off, kind of shifting gears here, but we are going to start off with Derek Owens posting all these max speeds from 2025 versus 2026. And this is something that he posted, I believe, yesterday on Instagram. Most of y'all have probably already seen it. But the max speeds, that's just top 10 is on y'all's right-hand side. 2025 is in the white column and 26 is in the orange column. The first thing that I want to talk about with this is I'm not sure if the speed metrics from 25 is actually from the 25 roster, because players like Chris Brazzell is over 22 miles per hour, like for sure. But when they were still testing, maybe he wasn't going, because keep in mind, he was banged up. He was limited heading into the season. So that could be part of it. But also it could just be what the team was like once he took over, because you have like initial testing. So maybe that's what the baseline was. But either way, it's very impressive to see the difference with what we have at this point. There were no players over 22 miles per hour in the top 10 whenever that was pulled. Now we actually have 11 that's over 22 miles per hour. I know I'm only showing you 10, but there is one more that didn't make the cut for this graphic. So on the left-hand side, you're seeing that we have 52 players over 20 miles per hour, which is insane. It's 14 more than it was off of the previous count. And then obviously that's about a difference of 37%. So DO's getting us bigger, faster, stronger. It will translate to a better football team, but that doesn't always mean that it's going to translate to wins because different schedules are going to impact wins. We'd have a better team than last year's this year, but because the schedule is more difficult, maybe less wins. Now, I don't believe that's going to be the case, but I had to throw that caveat out there. Games are really going to be determined most of the time by a few plays. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just make or break type stuff. If we're more disciplined, which I have no reason to suspect that we won't be, then it should translate to more wins. So just wanted to start it off there. Very impressive. Wish that I could see exactly what the players' names were or positions, but I mean, if it's 52 players, that's probably all three levels of your offense. And, well, maybe not all three levels of your offense, but I would say it's going to be some offense and defense, special teams, but it's going to be tight ends, obviously all the other skill positions. On defense, it's a chance that that's on all three levels of it. All right, so let's move forward and let's start to talk about the overall team rankings. You've got Rivals on 3 on y'all's left-hand side, which we were at number 34 before we got David Gabriel Georges. So we moved up 10 spots. Then you've got 24/7 Sports on the right-hand side. We're also at 24 there. So within these charts, you can see the total number of commits. All right, so we have 18. Asa would end up being 19 if he does choose us. You can see the 5-star players, 4-star players, and everything else obviously would be 3 stars. Then you see the average player rating. That's pretty important to me. Tennessee's sitting at about 89.5.4-ish, and you want to be over 90. That's something that we've been talking about for like years on this channel because it's about quality, not so much quantity. So I'd be fine if we have a class of 8 to 10 out of high school in some of these types of years, like what we've heard 27 was going to be. Hey, man, don't spend up a bunch of money on these guys that won't play for the next 2 to 3 seasons. Just go and get the guys that you feel like can help you right now out of high school and then go and do the same thing out of the transfer portal. So, yeah, if we've got to minimize the amount of players that we're bringing up to maximize the overall caliber, I would probably rather do that. Now, you do have baseline needs, which we'll get to. So, not to be overly long-winded with it, but I think that y'all do get my point. So, it just maybe taking a step forward from that part of it would be pretty beneficial to us. And then you can also see the difference in the overall scores. So if Tennessee adds Asa Barnes, I don't know how much it'll move us up. I'm thinking maybe to number 23, maybe 22. If we flip some more guys, we can move up even further. I feel like players like Derek Baker will at least get a 4-star, and I think probably a 5th-star when the season's over with. So that moves you up a ton. I didn't see this class being top 15. But whenever you start to look at it that way, it is possible that we could end up finishing top 15. I'm not trying to get people's hopes up. I'm just saying what's possible, okay? Anything's possible, but I would say that it looks more realistic now than what it did previously. All right, so let's get into the actual players. You can see their star ratings and also their player number ratings from each of the sites. So for the left-hand side, Rivals on 3, guys like Christian Mays, who's a JUCO defensive tackle that's coming in, his actual rating is of a 3-star, which is why he is where he is on this list, but his star rating is a 4-star. I think that's because he's the number 1 defensive lineman as a JUCO guy, but they don't have him rated like a typical 4-star. Hopefully all that makes sense. But I've seen his film. I think that he's good. Looks like he's going to be a bigger guy. I'm not sure what Dio wants to do with his overall body comp, but yeah, he could help Tennessee be more versatile with our fronts and go from an even, so like a 4-man front, to an odd, so like a 3-man front, and really be able to actually run it. That would be huge, obviously, just extra versatility. And then you can see I've got Asa Barnes highlighted because I don't know for sure that he's going to be coming on home, but I have a good feeling that he probably will be. So this is a little bit more thorough breakdown. You can see all the different positions and the count. And what I like to focus on is players that are top 15. This is obviously only Rivals on 3. So we've got 6 guys, and I'm not counting special teams, of course, but we have 6 guys that would be top 15 at the positions that they play. So you could look at them and say, we feel very confident that they should pan out. Now, this is not to say that if a player is, rated a lot lower, that they can't pan out, because it happens all the time. Tyler Redmond is the example that we always go to. Jaden Prelati, I don't know, he was rated like in the 50s or something as a linebacker. Absolute joke for both of those players. Dylan Lewis, he's good. We could go on and on and on, but I think that y'all get the point, right? That I'm not taking a shot at these guys, but I do feel like there might be a couple that it's like, well, shoot, if we could have maybe minimized 2 or 3 of these players and then maximize that into just 1 4-star, 5-star caliber at some of these different spots, that could have been a little bit more beneficial. So, of course, we still have Asa highlighted because, like I said, we do not know for sure if he will be part of this class. So at the end of this, y'all, let's talk about all the needs. So for high school, okay, this is the fall high school needs, because what moving forward is going to be all about getting guys up on campus and some of that type of stuff, but it's during the season. The reason that this is beneficial is because, of course, money does talk, but if you have a team that's showing that they're competent, that they can play on a super high level, okay, then players will start to take discounts. I've talked about it. Tennessee's budget has always been top 10 since NIL started. Our roster never has. So we've been in a habit where we've had to go and overspend to bring up the type of talent that we have up, up to this point. But if we have a really strong season, as we get deeper into it, there's more and more guys that might think about flipping, and we can make it work because we're not stretching the money out so far. But either way, number one thing is an elite edge. So that takes me to DJ Jacobs. Now, I've told y'all before that Tennessee could get him because his family's close with Coach Garner. Obviously, his dad played for Coach Garner. But I also said that it's going to cost a lot of money. So it's rumored that the Buckeyes offer is somewhere around or over $2 million. Well, Tennessee spent $2 million on David Gabriel Georges. So that's pretty much that. It was almost like one or the other type of a thing. Or we could have said, hey, DGG, can we get you at a less pricing than we probably could have got DJ Jacobs? Or, we still have the money, I believe, where we could go and get him if we really want to. But maybe they're saving that for more like transfer portal type stuff. Now, if I'm on the staff, I'm pounding the daggone table. Hey, look, we need an elite edge out of high school, and we need one out of the portal, as y'all can obviously see. But you have to go and get both. So I don't know exactly what the staff is going to do, but it is a much, much longer shot than it was the last time that we told y'all that we had a good chance. Since then, we've been telling folks in the comment sections and all of that. And I know that there's other people saying that, yes, it's a chance that he could flip. I'm telling y'all what I know, okay? It is not that high of a probability at this point. Now, that doesn't mean that it won't change. But, yeah, Tennessee's pretty far away. They're going to have to come with a lot more money if they want to go and get DJ Jacobs. But we still need to go and get an elite edge. So he's not the only one out there. I think he's the best one, but there's other guys. It has to be a certain type of skill set. Tennessee lost Jordan Ross, who last year, man, he was by far our most talented pass rusher. And people were talking about, his numbers don't look great. Well, he didn't play that much. You know what I'm saying? You've got to get into a rhythm as a pass rusher. So I never really bought into that. You can see it. He's just a bigger version of James Pierce. In all honesty, that's exactly he's a guy that could have played out in space, and not to beat a dead horse with it. But y'all will see it whenever the season starts, and hopefully people will start to understand why you can't just look at what players have done. You've got to look at what they can do, and you've got to make room for those guys coming off of the edge. And I think that Tennessee will find a way to supplement without the Jordan Ross types of players. But obviously DJ Jacobs is that sort of guy. We just have to find somebody in this class that has got to get done. Then defensive tackle, that's the next one. And I would love to see us target Jalen Brewster. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but a lot of this stuff is about money. We've got the money. It's just, are we willing to go and spend it? You've got to build it up strong out of the high school classes. Now, the next thing is going to be true guard. And I'm talking about a true, for real offensive guard, not a tackle that we move over to guard, or not a center that has to bump out, like a real, for real, true guard. I think that's something that we could use in this class because we don't really have one at this point. Now, with all that out the way, let's talk about the portal needs. So obviously, elite edge. And I am stacking this up, okay? I want to see if we can get this out of the high school class and then also add it out of the transfer portal. You've got to have a lot of guys that are dudes rushing the passer. That is a non-negotiable. And then an elite defensive tackle could be more. And then for the rest of it, it's more just potentially based off what we see over the course of the season. So versatile tight end, a guy that can run the routes, obviously has good hands, but is physical at the same time. I think that that'd be good. Maybe a one and done sort of a guy, that'd be great, because I feel like Ethan Davis is probably leaving. And I don't know if Howard comes in as a true freshman and he can help us. I don't know if anybody else inside of that room can really run the routes and be a true threat and some of those sorts of things. Then guard, okay, nickel, and a tall, fast wide receiver. So when I say tall, I mean 6'3 plus. And when I say fast, I mean sub 4'4. So a 4.39 is where that starts at. 4.39 and under. We need to be trying to find that once we get into, the 2027 portal class, because those should be the missing pieces. This is all if we bring back all the dudes that we need from the 2026 roster. And if we can do all of that, then hey, we'll probably have like a top 5 roster. You know what I'm saying? Like this will be for sure a national championship caliber roster. So that's it for me, y'all. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments sections. And as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. And we'll be talking to y'all maybe at some point tomorrow. Thanks. Peace.